Welcome to episode 5 of Rewind Heroes. I'm your co-host, Greg Compton.
And I'm your other co-host, Dan Gaines. This is going to be your weekly video podcast where we talk everything books, music, movies, anything we deem cool entertainment.
We made it to 5 episodes.
Crazy, here we go.
One more, you have to use another hand to count. It's going to be awesome.
We can handle that.
It's so cool. Well, we've got so much going on. There was a little award show, lots of news, tons of stuff to dork out about. Should we go ahead and get into the newsreel?
Why waste time? Let's do it.
Let's go to it. So our very first story, a movie that I'm anticipating, we've talked a lot about. Steven Spielberg has found his Wade Watts in Ready Player One. Ty Sheridan will be playing presumably both Wade Watts and his alter ego, Parzival, which is a reference to the Arthurian knight, famous for his Holy Grail quest.
So Greg, now that they finally announced the lead role in Ready Player One, what are kind of your thoughts on this casting?
You know, he's a really good actor. I saw him in Mud with Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
I thought he did an excellent job. He was a little younger when that came out. He's going to be the new Cyclops, so time will tell how he does in that. I think he's got a lot of potential as an actor. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of controversy right now. You see a lot of these comments on Facebook and whatnot. Kind of complaining about his casting, that he's too much of a pretty boy, he's too in shape. The character of Wade Watts is initially a little heavy set, a little pale. Yeah, but of course the thing is he does get thinner and a little more muscular stuff as the story goes along.
So do you think they're going to do that in the movie? I mean, that's something they can easily...
Exactly, and they need to, because his alter ego is a better looking version of him.
Okay.
Parzival, because you can choose your avatar in this fake world called the Oasis. Okay. So, this could be what his Oasis character looks like. Maybe they do a little more later. And at one point, to fit in these suits better, that does everything, he winds up shaving his head and all this stuff. So, he's going to look quite different anyway. And all the casting will be. There's definitely, you have your avatar and what your real self is.
Actors in this movie.
Yeah, they're going to be bigger surprises. So anyway, you've got your Wade Watts, your Parzival, and I think he's got the acting chops. So in Spielberg, I trust. So let's see what happens.
Tale of the Jedi Temple. An image surfaced earlier this week on Reddit and Facebook claiming the title of Star Wars Episode 8 is Tale of the Jedi Temple. It said the image is going to be for promotional purposes surrounding May the 4th, as in May the 4th be with you. It is possible this title could be simply a hoax, but Greg, what are your thoughts on this, if this is indeed the new title?
Okay, I'm not completely sold on that title. Yeah. I could live with it, and it still beats Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace.
100%.
It might make sense of it. I would prefer something along the lines of Path of the Jedi or Rise of the Jedi. I don't know, Tale and bringing up a specific place. There's never really been a specific mention of a place in a title.
I agree. It's a very specific title, although I will tell you, just since this was, we don't know if it's an actual announcement, but since this has been leaked, the title's grown on me a little bit more. When I've kind of heard it again, I'm like, it does kind of sound like a Star Wars tale, if you will. I don't know, it's weird.
True.
Even if that's what the movie's about, they could still change the title up.
Yeah, I definitely think this is still another one to throw people off the scent a little bit.
100%.
And the one reason I say that too is there were many Star Wars EU novels, Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina, Tales of the Bounty Hunter, and it just has that flair to it. So I could live with it if they go with that, but I don't think this is set in stone.
No, I don't either. In fact, you saying that, who knows, just because it was a promotional piece for May the 4th, there's no reason to think that that is Episode 8. Maybe that logo that we saw leaked is a title for a book.
Exactly, and it still might be Space Bear.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Well, it's official. Finn Jones is the Iron Fist. So the Game of Thrones actor Finn Jones will play the title role in Marvel and Netflix's upcoming superhero series Iron Fist. He's going to star as Danny Rand, a handsome, sophisticated, and independent loner who returns to New York City after being missing for years to fight against the criminal element corrupting the city with his incredible kung fu mastery and the ability to summon the power of the fiery Iron Fist. So what are your thoughts on this casting?
Overall, I think it's pretty good. I'm not a huge Game of Thrones guy, so I don't have a lot of experience with Finn Jones, and I don't know much about Iron Fist. So for me, it's perfect. I think they couldn't have done any better. What do you think, Greg?
Well, first of all, he doesn't play a massive role in Game of Thrones, so Yeah, he just happens to be in there.
Yep.
I'm okay with it. The thing that I find interesting is there's some controversy, including a Marvel, it's either writer or artist, who almost said they would not watch the film if they did not cast an Asian actor playing the role. Because this is a good opportunity to show some diversity. My thought on that is, when they said it, I'm cool either way with this, honestly, because it is a good chance for an unknown character to jumpstart that. But at the same time, if the original one was a Caucasian character with blonde hair, I don't see how you can get upset about casting a Caucasian actor with blonde hair. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what they do with this. I really want to know what they do with the outfit.
Yeah, because they've got to make that work with, because this is going to live in the world of Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
And the Luke Cage, they definitely did a good job, ditching the traditional satiny gold shirt of Luke Cage for a black leather jacket. So I have full faith. I think the mask will be very similar, but the rest of it will be more utility-based, kind of like the Daredevil one.
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, makes sense. We'll see. But, yeah, so there you go. You've got your new Iron Fist in Finn Jones.
The legend of the Hidden Temple continues.
Dude, what is it with you and temples today?
What can I say? It's been a busy week with that. Nickelodeon continues to reinvent its library of 90s content for a new generation of audiences with the greenlighting of a live-action TV movie inspired by its iconic game show legends of the Hidden Temple. This movie will draw from the original show's premise of following 3 siblings who embark on a mysterious journey of life and death. The show is slated to begin production this month. So Greg, I grew up with this show. I'm a huge fan. What are kind of your thoughts and then bringing this thing back?
What is the Hidden Temple?
Okay.
I'm old. I'm officially old. I've got no clue.
Greg, let me shine a light on what this temple exactly is.
Please
So
do.
basically, this was a great show, and I'm sure anyone that's probably 30 or younger, probably 20 is about as old as you can get, that you'll actually appreciate this thing. The Legend of the Temple was a game show with kids, and you had everything from the Silver Monkeys, the Gray Barracudas, all these types of teams. And you basically were given a mission to get through this obstacle course to find treasures that were hidden within the temple. It sounds super great, I know, but I trust me, it was awesome. So basically, I don't know how I feel about them making a movie based on it, but what I get from this is that it's pretty cool that they're starting to go back to their 90s, which was kind of the heyday of Nickelodeon. They had their Nicktoons. They're talking about bringing a lot of these characters back. Hey Arnold's another one that they're talking of kind of rebooting. So I think it'll be fun to kind of see what they do with it, but I'm actually still holding out that maybe they'll create a new audience and actually bring the actual game show back, because if the movie's a hit, why would they not?
I agree.
So we'll kind of stay tuned to see what's going to be. It's supposed to maybe premiere this fall, which is kind of surprising. So it's obviously been in the works. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they've got.
All I can say is I had Double Dare, and I was damn glad to have it.
Oh, Mark Summers.
Oh, Mark Summers. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. After years of speculation and false starts, author Stephen King has signaled that the big screen adaptation of his fantasy series The Dark Tower has finally found its leading men in a tweet quoting the first line of the first book, The Gunslinger. The line references antagonist Randall Flagg, the man in black, who will be portrayed by Matthew McConaughey, and hero gunslinger Roland Deschain, who will be played by Idris Elba. Elba and McConaughey then responded to King's tweet, confirming their roles in the process. Okay, so we knew we had Idris Elba playing the title role of the gunslinger, Roland, but now we get this news from Matthew McConaughey, and all I can say is, all right, all right, all right. I love that. That's so great. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, have those two guys in any movie, I think sounds awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't real familiar with the characters. You kind of showed me some imagery. Just the visuals alone, I love where this thing's going. And to kind of have basically two actors that, I don't know, we haven't seen anything in the past where they would be put together.
Yeah.
And hearing your descriptions on what the heck they are doing, it sounds epic.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a world here where you have gunslingers. They're almost kind of like these knights, and he's, one of these last guys. He's pursuing, trying to find this Dark Tower, kind of linchpin of different realities. It's really hard to describe. I only read the first 3 books, and that was probably when I was in high school. So and we all know from the Temple thing that I'm old. So, but I
That's
really
when books were printed. And everybody just read them. and turned
exactly, they were
pages.
in paper. It was really interesting, and I did like it. It just bogged down. I was young enough it kind of bogged me down a bit. But it's such a cool world, little hints of magic, and just so much. The interesting thing is, I remember hearing rumor, maybe it was just wishful thinking, that you would have a Matthew McConaughey playing Roland, who would have been perfect for it at the time. This has been in development for years.
I was going to say, you're saying that. How long? Like, when are they saying now it's going to come out?
I didn't check. I didn't check to see that.
I didn't see a date.
And I wonder. You're talking about a book series that what is it, like 8 books or something at this point? So I don't know how much you're going to get. They also said they might not start at the beginning. They might start somewhere else so that has some fans feeling a little trepidation. But
it sounds really cool. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I'll be interested too, because have they announced who's directing any of these?
No, I haven't.
That'll be interesting too. To see what kind of perspective they take on it.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it too much, but I'd really like to know, because I think this is a cool, ripe world to do some really great things with, and you've got 2 grade A actors playing these parts.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to it. So, the Gunslinger, find the Man in Black.
Gambit has vacated its current release date. With so many superhero movies due out in the next couple years, it is inevitable that some release dates will change. This now seems to be the case with the Channing Tatum starring Gambit. The X-Men spinoff was originally scheduled for an October 7th, 2016 release, which would make it the third of 3 X-Men movies that Fox was releasing next year. However, producer Simon Kinberg confirms that Gambit won't even start shooting until next spring. So Greg, what are your thoughts on these delays?
Well, when I was reading Marvel Comics back in high school, middle school and high school, Gambit was my hero. I just thought the Raging Cajun was the coolest superhero. He has this kinetic ability, charge things with kinetic power. That's why he would have the cards. He could throw them and it'd explode. You just picture this accent, just smooth guy. I'm okay with them moving this back. You know what my problem is already.
I do.
The Channing Tatum announcement that came back a while ago when they first talked about this, not that he's a bad actor, but he's not the character. In fact, Taylor Kitsch, who played it in the first Wolverine solo film, probably was a better fit.
So this is like a reverse Deadpool effect then.
Yeah.
They did the character probably justice in that movie then.
Exactly. It wasn't perfect. He was a little young for it, but he had the look. I just cannot picture Channing Tatum doing this. I think it's popular name to a character. Now, and I'll get your thoughts on some of this, but I had an idea, and then I looked this up online, and apparently a lot of other people had this idea too.
Okay.
I had not seen it. I think if you're doing this, you drop him from the film, and you cast Josh Holloway from Lost. He's in that current show, I believe it's called Colony.
Okay, yeah.
And he just looks the part. He could do the drawl, the southern drawl. I think he would be a perfect fit for this character. I think he was born to play this character. So that's kind of in my head. I'm sure Channing Tatum will still have this. I will see it because I love the character, and I hope that I am pleasantly surprised that, we've had things like Ledger's Joker, things that people complained about until they saw and loved. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I was going to say, people flipped out when Ben Affleck was announced as Batman. We're still waiting to find out how that plays out, but you never know.
It looks
the guy
solid.
might get in that role, and all of a sudden he's just a natural. You find out this was the role he was made to play.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out, but that's my thought. Do you have any other thoughts on Gambit?
The only thing when I hear Channing Tatum, I think about is it's going to be Magic Mike throwing magic cards around or something. I don't know. They've got to sell me, but I'll wait to see what the teaser has.
Well, now this has potential too because he's from New Orleans, the character.
Yep.
So if this whole thing is set up like an origin, it's in the French Quarter, that could be phenomenal.
That could be really cool.
If they're going to bring him into the X-Men full, I don't think you're going to do that later. The love interest with the character Rogue, who can't touch anybody without absorbing their power. That's a whole other story for him in the future if they would pin that in with X-Men. But I always wanted to see the character. Yeah. They've never really put him in a proper X-Men film. So either way, I'm excited. Show me some awesome New Orleans stuff. Throw in some voodoo, some good jazz. I'll be okay.
Cool. We'll have to check that out.
Exactly.
So Greg, you kind of mentioned there was this little award show this past weekend. It's the biggest night in Hollywood, and we had some big winners this year. Spotlight took Best Picture, Brie Larson was Best Actress, and Hollywood's Wonder Boy Leonardo DiCaprio finally brings home the hardware. So
Yes.
overall, what were your thoughts on the winners? I mean, did you feel like it was justified? And just kind of give us some feedback on that.
Yeah, no, I did not see all the films.
Okay.
I saw a good chunk of them, so I have not seen Spotlight yet, so I can't speak on the Best Picture. I haven't seen Revenant, so I can't speak on Leonardo DiCaprio, though, I mean, he's a highly accomplished actor. We have to say goodbye to the death of the Leonardo DiCaprio never wins an Oscar meme. So those have all sadly gone away.
He'll
But
probably rattle off 5 straight now after he's won his first.
probably. I will say, though, I did see Room with Brie Larson. Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Phenomenal film. So that is much deserved. So that much I can talk about. You've seen more of them than I have. What were your thoughts on these three?
Overall, I mean, it was kind of a tough, in my opinion. I'd seen most. I had not seen The Big Short or Brooklyn, but I'd seen at least all the Best Picture nominees. And after seeing Spotlight, I mean, I left the theater thinking, okay, that I understand was a Best Picture nominee. And honestly, for me, it was either that or The Revenant.
Okay.
And so I had no issue with that movie winning. Same thing with Room. Brie Larson was amazing. That phenomenal movie. I mean, it's so character driven anyway. So I think her performance was unbelievable. And then as far as Best Actor, do I think this was Leonardo DiCaprio's best performance of his career? Probably not. It was still great. But I think this was very much, they looked at the nominees and thought, okay, it's finally time.
Right.
They're not living in a room, not hearing all the talk. They know he deserves this award. So I had no issue with him winning it, but I think he probably should have won it about 3 other times before this.
Yeah, so he also won this for, part of this is a win for like being locked up in the theater, going to the bathroom in the corner in the Aviator, and part of it is for driving home that Lamborghini in Wolf of Wall Street, totally immaculate, and getting into the house. So this is a win for all those great moments.
Absolutely.
All right.
I think that's the way it should be viewed.
Some other interesting things about that too that I didn't even bring up to you, but we should also talk about Mark Rylance winning Best Supporting Actor.
Yes.
Now, I did not see Creed, but I did see Bridge of Spies, and I remember before I even
was really
looked.
happy about that.
Before I even saw the announcements, when there's the monologue about "You remind me of a man that would always get up." Remember he would say
true.
that?
Yeah.
I saw that scene and how it was delivered, and I looked over to my wife and said, "That should be Best Supporting Actor." I hadn't even looked at the time for who was getting nominated. There you go. Maybe that's what they were
Well,
thinking.
it's funny because I saw the movie after the nominees were out, but I didn't take a look at it.
Yeah.
And I kind of was thinking along those same lines because when he won, I was pumped about it. I mean, because the dude was kind of the dark horse of that category. Going into the Oscars, all you heard was, oh, Sylvester Stallone's going to get this. I mean, he won, I think, just about every other award for that.
Yeah.
So for him to win, I thought was great because he was kind of the dark horse.
He's the new Leo.
Yeah, that's true.
He's the new Leo.
That's true.
Start the Stallone memes. Other news was score. John Williams did not win for Force Awakens, and of course we are big Star Wars fanboys.
Yes.
But the score for Hateful Eight won with what's his name? Ennio Morricone, I believe is the name of the.
You say so.
Now I went ahead and I listened to it, and it's good, but it is not as good, in my opinion, as the Star Wars one. Now I think this is his first Oscar win, though he's had many nominations.
Okay. It seemed like just on the reaction of the crowd, they were all pretty excited.
I think so. He's done great work in the past, so it might be one of those. The man is deserving of an Oscar, and also Force Awakens is, using some themes that have been written before,
Which probably hurt its chances overall.
Yeah, but there were plenty of great new themes in there. So
Rey's theme is one of the best themes I've heard literally in 10 years.
It might be one of the best Star Wars themes or full scores that I think he's written. So, yeah, that was an interesting one. Other thing that I wanted to mention is JJ was not up for best director. Yeah, we'll hit that later with our awards.
Okay.
We'll hit that
Sounds
later.
Good. And then the last thing we'll kind of talk on is main topics. I know we may not be part of the majority because it seems like most people I talk to just rave about how great this movie was. I guess I don't get it. Mad Max. How does Mad Max win 6 Oscars? It leaves the awards. Greg's gone. It leaves the awards with more Oscars than anybody else. I have a big issue with that, and I understand it even warrants a lot of the nominees because I appreciate the design. I appreciate some of the effects. That's a topic we can get into another time. But as far as the fact that movie, out of all the great films that were nominated, it leaves with more than any's. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. I'm glad he didn't win the Best Picture. Any of these.
If he would have won Best Picture,
no story or acting, because honestly, I think that the finding the meaning behind this film is way overblown. The acting was not that good. There was zero character development. Luckily, none of that was awarded.
That's true.
So to me, it's just hearing that number kind of like bristles. My couple thoughts on it. Sound design was amazing.
Yep.
And I heard that there had been some problems with the sound originally when it was recorded.
This, yeah.
So I think that was a feat. That's fine. You give it to them. I have a problem, and this is a problem I have more with the way the Academy works in this day and age anyway, that when you're giving things for effects and stuff like that, you need to draw a line between digital and practical effects.
Sure.
Because I think, if some of the practical stuff, that movie is a chase scene. That is what that movie is. Practical effects, you have Cirque du Soleil style things with the people on not wires, but the poles swinging to the vehicles. It's impressive, and it deserves an award for that. But also, it's a completely different thing to do things like the Star Wars digital effects. The Jurassic World.
Age of Ultron, which has some amazing
But to
CG.
me, that's a whole other beast. It needs its own separate category, so I'm not going to fault them for that. It's just the Academy needs to kind of get with the times on that. Yeah, I think that's a whole different thing. But yeah, just seeing that many Academy Awards for a film that I was like, nah. Honestly, I got it for $1 at Netflix, and I'd rather, bought some gum.
You'd rather get your 4 quarters back.
Yeah, and there are people that love it. It's not my thing. None of them were my thing. Any of the Mad Max films, so maybe I'm biased, but if you're putting that movie in there, there are other movies that could have been put in that category.
And sorry, I know you had one more, I think, main category on the Oscars. I think I said that was your last.
Oh yes, I do. Best song. Sam Smith wins for The Writings on the Wall.
And we heard your love for this song last week.
And the thing is, Sam Smith is a talented artist. I really like some of his stuff, so this is not a slam on him, but that song in particular just didn't have a hook for me. I'm not a massive fan of the Lady Gaga song, but I thought it was a better song.
Yeah.
And so I love to see Bond movies get the recognition. Bond themes have not always gotten the recognition that they deserve, but this one, to me, it's a forgettable Bond theme, and it was kind of forgettable in this year, and maybe if there had been other contenders.
I was going to say, it seems like overall it was kind of a forgettable year for original songs.
To me,
that's always a weird category for me anyway.
And to me, listening to the Gaga song, to me, the performance was incredibly powerful, and the meaning behind it, the song, if you're listening to it outside of seeing a powerful performance, and if you're not really understanding it, if you're just hearing for hooks and melody, not the strongest song. But I mean, when you hear it, I want people to know that was a powerful expression. I thought that was amazing.
I thought that whole thing was an experience in itself.
And when you see that, and she performs it, and then doesn't win to Sam Smith, who did not have the best performance anyway.
I was kind of shocked by that, because when I saw that performance with the meaning behind it, because I wasn't too familiar with that song before then, I couldn't believe she didn't win.
Exactly.
And the fact that they were all sharing a stage with The Weeknd, who I don't have anything against, but it was representing 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, this is true.
Wow.
Well, you know what? We talked about those. We haven't seen every movie that was in the Oscars, but you know what? We should talk about what our favorites were.
Cool.
We can't give away an Oscar.
No.
And I wanted to
if
make.
only we had something that's even cooler.
I wanted to make the Leos, but that would be pointless now too, right?
You ruined that for us.
So I started thinking, there are no performances as smooth as Billy D. Williams.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I want to present the Lando. That's right,
Look
the
at
Lando.
that.
For performances in films that go down smoother than a fresh, cold Colt 45. You got it, the Lando. So here's my thing.
Sweet.
Of all the movies you saw this year, what was your favorite movie? What is Lando worthy?
Well, I think it goes without saying, and for the sake of this, The Force Awakens was the favorite movie of the year by far.
Okay.
But since we say that every episode, I'm going to separate myself from that.
In Jurassic World.
In Jurassic World. I think for me, it was The Revenant. Overall, it's one of those movies I left the theater and I liked it. I appreciate it. And then it's one of those you get home and you start reflecting on it a little bit more. And I'll tell you what, my opinion changed because I went into the Oscars thinking Spotlight was my favorite movie. And after you start seeing, because I really hadn't seen anything else on The Revenant since the theater, and they started showing the images and the scenes. And I started thinking, I'm like, this movie was incredible. The storytelling in it, the characters that we've got. Tom Hardy, it's a shame if I can't think of his name from Bridge of Spies. If he doesn't win, Tom Hardy had one heck of a performance. So
Okay.
it's an adventure. It's visually stunning. That's by far my favorite. What about you?
My favorite, and again, I haven't seen The Revenant, so I want to see that. It's
Yeah.
just you had to purchase it or still see it in a theater, and I just didn't have a chance to get up to the theaters to see it. I'm going to go with The Martian.
Okay.
Because I read the book. I loved it. It was a great adaptation. It was just fun. It was just, I don't know, there's something about it. I mean, it was to me, it reminded me of Tom Hanks, with Castaway, but there's no real Wilson.
Yeah.
It was great. And I think, Matt Damon just held that thing together
was
so
awesome.
well.
It
It
was
was fun.
great.
If you haven't seen The Martian, I say give The Revenant, give The Martian their Landos. Give them their Landos, all right? Because it's good stuff.
Yep.
And maybe we'll throw in a McConaughey, all right, because we like those. Okay.
We'll throw it all in there.
Best actor. Who is your best actor?
So it's hard for me to pick because a lot, like movie Spotlight, there were so many good performances that there really wasn't that leading man. Mark Ruffalo did a great job. So for me, that's why I struggle with this one to change it because Leonardo DiCaprio to me was so well deserving on everything he's done that I have a hard time disputing him winning it for this because he did. The guy crawls around the mud, he gets attacked by a bear. He had to have won.
Takes this long to win an Oscar, but first year of our show, he gets a Lando! And I'm going with Michael Fassbender
Nice.
portraying Steve Jobs.
Okay, and I still need to see that.
While it wasn't the best movie, his portrayal was amazing. I didn't know how he would do with that. With the writing style from the writer of this, did Newsroom and West Wing, you have a lot of dialogue. He delivers it flawlessly. The banter between his parts and Kate Winslet, phenomenal. But you get to the point you really feel like this is Steve Jobs. He did a great job, so I'm going to give Fassbender a Lando.
It's a
I think he
Lando.
needs it. Best actress, I think we both agree.
Yeah, it's hard to go against Brie Larson. I mean, she did a phenomenal job. If you have not seen that movie, it's one of those movies it really sucks you in from the very beginning. Because if you go in like I did, not knowing much about what the story is, because I
Same
literally knew nothing. My wife actually was the one that had read the book and she suggested it. And I said, sure, I like going to the movies. So we went in and I didn't even want to watch a trailer because I thought, what the heck?
Yeah.
And it's an experience, I thought. That's the best way I can describe it. And she did a phenomenal job selling us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, give her a Lando.
A Lando.
You know who I would almost give a Lando to as well?
Why not? Let's just give everybody one.
No, the kid as a supporting
He was
actor.
great. What are we doing? We
Why
need to
was
be
he
tipping
not
our cap to him.
That child. I mean, yeah, that was phenomenal
He was
acting.
awesome.
That movie will put you through the ringer, and if you're for anybody, I'm a parent. It just wrenched me, but it's phenomenal. I would highly recommend that. Now, for directors, I think The Revenant does deserve it because how much they went through to get that movie done.
Right.
But I think for recognition, should JJ not have had recognition?
He had, you know what, that's the thing. That's where I think the Oscars always, they lose a lot of people. When you talk to the general public, the thing you seem to hear more than anything else is, I haven't even heard of half of these movies. Unless you are like us and we're keeping up with it and actually looking into it, you're not going to know probably about Brooklyn.
Right.
Or Room wasn't a mainstream release.
No.
So to me, they look at movies like Star Wars and they think, oh, that's just a silly popcorn movie. But
Yeah.
you know what? It wasn't.
No.
The pressure was unlike anything we've seen literally in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
And for him to blend the old with the new and to kind of do it justice, I think that deserves a directing award.
Yeah, for me it was you're blending the old nostalgic, just what was amazing. You've got to blend that into a new world, make new characters likable. You've got to blend these two together. You've got to erase all the bad blood of the prequels, everything that's gone on, this mounting pressure. It's like a conductor, you put this thing
absolutely.
together flawlessly, but at a point that we all went in and ran in to see it again.
Yep.
And so, he's still a fairly young guy, so we can't give him a lifetime achievement Lando, so we'll give him a midlife time achievement
Midlife.
Lando.
I like it.
Yeah, so I think that's all the Landos we've got to give, right?
Yep, that's it.
All right, so off to Recos.
Let's do it. So this is the portion of the show where we recommend something that we want you guys to check out. So Greg, do you have some kind of music to recommend for us?
How did you guess?
It's like
I do. All right, so
that temple I visited earlier.
exactly. So this is a band. I'm actually going to recommend an album from a band.
Okay.
So kind of
Switch
both
it
in
up
a
a little
sense.
bit
Yeah.
here. Okay.
The band is the Gaslight Anthem, which not a lot of people know of, but the album in particular is the 59 Sound. Now everything they've done is pretty good. At the worst, it's pretty good. To me, this album is probably in my top 10. Not my top 5. When we do top 5s later down the road, it might not make it there, but it would be in my top 10. The 59 sound is phenomenal. I don't think, it's not their first album. I think it's their second.
Okay.
The album after it kind of fell short for me. Then they came back with one that was stronger. I mean, so it's a band that, they're solid. But I don't know. I just love the 59 sound. Basically, it's a Jersey-based band. And they grew up not far from Springsteen.
Okay.
And you really hear the Springsteen influences. You really hear that E Street Band sound, but with a bit more of an edge. The stories are very much kind of the blue-collar working man sort of thing. But it's amazing. And there's not a bad song on this album. I played you a couple tracks just to give you a taste before we came in here. What were your thoughts?
It's good stuff. I mean, it's easy listening, and I was ready to rock out to it.
Oh.
I'm bringing in. It sounds like I'm aging myself again. I'm going to bring in some blank CDs for him tomorrow so he can burn me a copy.
Yeah, exactly. We don't do that. What are you talking about? We purchase all these things. I think that's a great band. And also the singer, Brian Fallon, is releasing a solo album, and there's a couple tracks, like Steve McQueen is a track that's already come out. And I think one called It's a Wonderful Life, which is good. But start with the 59 sound. Hopefully it doesn't ruin all the rest of their stuff for you, because it's the perfect 4-piece rock band album. It's great. It's
Very
great.
cool.
What do you have?
Yeah, so I've got another movie. I feel like this is becoming a trend. The movie I wanted to recommend to you guys is George Clooney's The Descendants. This is one that I think is one of George, like we're friends, finer performances. And basically, it also stars Shailene Woodley before she kind of made it big with The Fault in Our Stars and the whole Divergent series. But basically, the movie takes place in Hawaii. It's another one of these movies that's beautifully shot. I really dug the music in this movie too. To me, this is a movie where the music was just as much of a character, and I love that kind of stuff. I mean, it really sets the tone.
Oh yeah.
But basically, the movie is about a family that his wife was in a tragic accident. She's in a coma, and not only is he dealing with that, he's dealing with a couple other things within his family, and he's also having pressure from his family to sell a pretty large property that they own. So it's one of those movies, very character-driven, but it takes you on a journey of what feels like a real-life situation to a backdrop that's absolute paradise. So you got to check it out.
It is good. I remember seeing that when it came out, and I loved the movie. I think it was. No, was he nominated for an Oscar for that, or was that movie in there somewhere with writing or adaptation?
It may have been in there.
I think it was some kind of nomination somewhere.
I always get that movie, as far as the awards go, confused with Up in the Air, because he had that with
That's true.
Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
And it was a similar tone.
You could be
to
right on
that.
that.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
We don't fact check.
Exactly.
We don't fact check. Well, I think
we got that's you got to check it out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the show. So where can they find you?
So please check us out. We're on Facebook. You can follow me on social media at Twitter, just simply at Dan Gaines. And I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm also on the Twitters at gcompton007. So yeah, go ahead, write us, and you can also write us at rewindheroes@gmail.com. And I promise we will actually check that site. I do. I check it every day, and nobody writes us. Write us. Let us know what you think.
We know you're out there somewhere. Please.
All 30 of you, let us know what you think. All right.
22 of them just dropped off.
Well, then that's a show, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, until next time, be kind.
And please rewind.